try out how we hear you. And I guess we can go live, Joe, but we do need to hear Dr. Gonzalez for voting.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Can you hear me now?
You're live, President Noble.
Thank you, Joe. And it looks like we certainly have a quorum. I will also text Vice President Garcia, to see if he's coming.
Yesterday on the tour, he didn't know.
Okay, and I often print an agenda, but I haven't been able to today, so I will be depending a little bit more on the agenda on the screen, just so everybody knows. Thank you for your support in advance. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order and begin with the Pledge of Allegiance and salute to the New Mexico flag in English and in Spanish, as well as the acknowledgement of tribal land. And Alma, I just got a note from Vice President Garcia that he would appreciate, I know you sent it very recently, but could you resend him the Zoom link, please? Thank you very much. Okay. Does anybody feel inclined to lead the pledge and the salute to the New Mexico flag? I haven't done it in a while, so I'm very happy to. Go ahead and go in. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Juro fidelidad a la bandera de los Estados Unidos de América y a la república que representa una nación bajo Dios, indivisible, con libertad y justicia para todos. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, the Zia symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures. Saludo la bandera del Estado de Nuevo México, el símbolo Zia de amistad perfecta entre culturas unidas. Thank you. And moving on to the acknowledgement of tribal land. We acknowledge the original people of the land, the Tesuque Pueblo people and other tribal nations, and ask them to walk with us today as we share and learn together. Thank you very much. Okay, we are on to the approval of the agenda. Superintendent, are there any changes? Hearing.
I move
none.
approval.
Thank you, Dr. Gonzalez.
I will second that.
Okay, I think Board Member Anderson just beat you to it, Secretary Bose. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and do a roll call vote. I don't see Vice President Garcia at this stage. Secretary Bose,
Yes.
Dr. Gonzalez,
Yes.
Board Member Anderson,
Yes.
and the President also votes yes. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on to Roman numeral 2 on our agenda, introduction of interpreter. Superintendent. Is he frozen? Again, they look frozen to me.
I think they might. I can call real quick.
Yeah, and Alma, I don't know if we have an interpreter online.
We do. If I may, I can go ahead and read it.
Please, thank you.
Para servicios de traducción en español, marque 206-451-6064. A continuación, 701-802-5152. El número de acceso #4277932 hashtag. Por favor, mantenga su teléfono en silencio durante la traducción.
Thank you very much, Alma.
You-
Okay, now we move on to Roman numeral 3, our very exciting moment of the night, swearing in of District 5 Board Member Sasha Anderson. And we are honored to welcome our District Attorney, Madam District Attorney Mary Carmack Altways, who is here to do the swearing in. And Board Member Anderson, I'm afraid you lost your helper. Oh, wait, no, there's one there in the background because, of course, they're pretty important in this whole process as well. And I think we do have the superintendent and everybody back, so I'm not sure who goes next and if we jump straight in with our honorable guest to do the swearing in. You're muted, Board Member Anderson, if you were.
Sorry, Madam President, I was telling the children to be quiet.
Okay, well, Madam District Attorney, I think the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Anderson, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Sasha Anderson,
I, Sasha Anderson,
do affirm that I will support
do affirm that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution and laws of the state of New Mexico,
and the Constitution and laws of the state of New Mexico,
and to the best of my ability,
and to the best of my ability,
I will faithfully and impartially discharge
I will faithfully and impartially discharge
the duties of the public office
the duties of the public office
which I am about to enter.
which I am about to enter.
Congratulations, Board Member Anderson.
Thank you.
And thank you for allowing me to do this.
Thank you, Madam District Attorney. It was my privilege to have you swear me in. Thank you.
Thank you very much again for being here, Madam District Attorney, and congratulations, Board Member Anderson.
Thank
You're
you.
officially sworn in. Okay, moving on, I think we come next to the main part of our agenda. There we go. Thank you, Alma. Our presentation and discussion of college career and technical education, otherwise known as CTE. We will try and keep the acronyms as ever to a minimum to allow for maximum understanding. And I believe we are going to start tonight with Dr. Gonzalez.
Thank you, President Noble. It's my honor to introduce our guest tonight. Gary Hochlander is president. Is that how you say your last name?
Hochlander, but
Hochlander?
Gary's fine. I go through life spelling it and pronouncing it. So
Okay. I have never asked you that. I've seen it a lot of times. Anyway, he's president of Connect Ed, the National Center for College and Career. He's widely known for his expertise in career and technical education, college and career pathways, and many other aspects of elementary, secondary, and post-secondary education. He's consulted extensively with the U.S. Department of Education, state departments of education, local school districts, foundations, and a variety of other organizations. And I met Gary probably a couple of years ago. We were both working on a research project with the Learning Policy Institute with Gallup, and he's now working with Farmington. So Gary, if you want to say anything.
sure. Thank you very, very much. And for other members of the board, I had the wonderful opportunity this morning to tour Capitol High School, Santa Fe High School, as well as the early college high school as well. And it was just a remarkable morning. I mean, I can say I've seen a lot of schools and school foundation on which to build and continue this work here. So it was an absolute pleasure. I'll just be a little bit more specific. We saw some outstanding teaching this morning, without exception, and not just outstanding teachers, but classrooms really structured to nurture and facilitate the kind of teaching and learning that we all believe is so important. A little bit about my background. For many, many years, I headed a research and development firm called NPR Associates. We were the primary analytic contractor for the US Department of Education. My strong believer in the power and importance of career and technical education. One of the most important lessons I learned along the way was that no matter how good we make career and technical education, if we don't connect it to the core academics that are the primary experience of high school students, we're missing a huge opportunity. Absolutely a good thing to improve career and technical education by itself. But the real opportunity here lies in connecting career and technical education to the math, the science, the English, the social studies, the world language, and helping students better understand, why do I need to know this? I mean, what I love about career and technical education is the relevance that it brings, and introducing the relevance into core academics and the academics into career and technical education is the magic. So what do I mean by that? I'll give you, in our world of what we call linked learning, and I'll say a little bit more about that in a second, we love to celebrate student work. And at the end of the school year, we'll bring students and parents and teachers and employers together so that the students can share the projects that they have been working on during the course of the school year. A couple of years ago, we brought everybody together in Southern California. There were lots of schools represented. One was Hollywood High School and the Digital Media Arts Pathway from Hollywood High. The students in the Digital Media Arts Pathway, working in teams of 4, had been asked to create a 2-minute video trailer that they would use to pitch a full-length documentary to Hollywood studio executives. So in their English class, they wrote the script, but they also, these students, I should say, were creating a video around the history of racial discrimination in Los Angeles. So in their English class, they wrote the script, but they read The Invisible Man by Ralph Ellison. And in their social studies class, they read and they analyzed and they discussed Brown versus Board of Education and the Kerner Commission report from the 1960s. And in their math class, they learned how to calculate means, averages, and standard deviations so they could tell whether there were statistical differences between various subgroups of the population. And in their physics class, they learned the properties of light and how lenses work and how cameras work. And then in their videography class, which was their career and technical education course in this particular instance, they learned how to develop a storyboard. They learned how to use a camera. They learned how to edit and finally produce this 2-minute trailer. And it was playing on a monitor right in front of us. And it was terrific. It was absolutely first rate. And I asked them, I said, well, to whom did you get to pitch this? And they said, oh, we got to pitch it to the vice president of MTV. I said, wow. I said, well, what was the most important thing that he had to say to you? They didn't miss a beat. They looked at me and they said, he told us spelling matters. And the teachers laughed and they said, you know, we tell them that all the time. But until they heard that from the vice president of MTV, they didn't really believe us. And that is the power of this work. I mean, it is connecting, making all of those connections and aligning curriculum and instruction, giving young people the opportunity to engage with other adults. I mean, no disrespect to their teachers, but to be able to connect to other professionals outside of school is just such a powerful and motivating experience. So I was very fortunate. In 2005, the James Irvine Foundation came to me and my colleagues. And to make a long story, not too long, asked us to create Connect Ed, which was then the California Center for College and Career. It is now today the National Center for College and Career. We, with very generous support from the James Irvine Foundation, led a 5-year demonstration of what we call linked learning in 9 large school districts in California, all high need districts. We're talking Los Angeles, Oakland, Long Beach, Sacramento. I won't go through the whole list. And we had 3 major objectives. I should say, we did not invent Pathways. As all of you know, Pathways academies have existed in this country for a long time. More often than not, and I dare to say this may be the case in Santa Fe, they exist in spite of the system rather than because of it. So they're the product of some innovative, the wonderful teachers at the medical pathway, a perfect example. That pathway is their creation. And not to take anything away from the district, but it happened because of them. The danger is, and hopefully, if they disappear, what happens to that pathway? And we were talking a little bit at lunch. I mean, there is attention to succession, which is great. But what really distinguished our work with the 9 districts in California was working with the district to design and implement this work district-wide, and to build the district systems, the district infrastructures, the policies that will make it possible for these kinds of opportunities to survive transition of teachers, of principals, of in your particular context. The second thing that was critical to us was quality. We spent a lot of time working with then the National Academy Foundation, the National Coalition of Career Academies, our own University of California, to get as clear and specific as we possibly could about what constitutes high quality pathway design and implementation. And existing career pathways, existing academies, and we developed now in collaboration with what's called the Linked Learning Alliance, a system for certifying pathway quality in pathways across the country. And then the third thing that we emphasize strongly, and you can see that reflected in my story about Hollywood High School, this is fundamentally about improving learning and teaching. Introducing much more real-world application, problem-solving, project-based learning into academics, much more academic content into career and technical education, and helping everybody, students and teachers, make those connections. So those are sort of our basic guiding principles, with an overarching principle that this is fundamentally about preparing students for both college and career. It's no longer about college or career. Appropriate formal employment training, the full range of post-secondary options. Designing pathways to produce those outcomes is what this is all about. I should say that particularly in the materials that I'm leaving with you, and we'll make sure that we can get these.
We've left some for the board members that
Great.
aren't here.
We look at this as an approach. It's not a model. We are not here to sell you academies or sell you pathways. In the end, whatever you do with this basic framework has got to work for Santa Fe. It's your context, your community, it's got to work for you. But those sort of overarching principles or guidelines, if you will, we do believe are fundamental to this work. So we conducted this work in California for, it was a 5-year demonstration. It was independently evaluated by SRI International. In your packets, you have a summary of some of the results from that evaluation. They found very impressive and positive impacts, things like credits attained, on-time grade-to-grade transition, high school completion, post-secondary transition, and I won't go into the full list. But based on that, California invested $500 million on expanding this work in the state.
It's a lot bigger than us.
I know. And as a consequence of that, in 2014, we started taking our first baby steps outside of California. We started a linked learning initiative in Detroit, Michigan, with very generous support from the Ford Foundation. We began working in Houston. Now we're working in Western Massachusetts, Madison, Wisconsin, the northwest suburbs of Chicago, Rockford, Illinois. We're in North Kansas City, have a wonderful initiative that's just gotten underway there. We're in Portland, Oregon, still in California, working in lots of districts in California. And then about 2.5 years ago, Gallup-McKinley County, Miyamura High School in particular, sent a contingent to Claremont High School, which is a linked learning demonstration high school in San Diego. They liked what they saw and they came back and said, can you help us do this at Miyamura? So we began about 2.5 years ago working with Miyamura. In the last year, obviously remotely, it was not easy. This is not easy work. I'm not going to kid you about this. It's hard work, and it's especially hard if you have to do it remotely. But it was going so well there that the district in April said, would you come and help us do this in all 9 of our high schools? And also at the same time begin working with the central office to build, again, the district capacity to support and sustain this work over time. So we just launched that work in July. I spent, my team and I spent a week in July. We visited each of the 9 high schools. I'll be very honest, most of our work has been in urban districts. We haven't had to figure out, how do you do this in a geographically remote high school in Rama, New Mexico, 45 minutes from Gallup. There is nothing between Gallup and Rama. You get to Rama, the only thing that is there is the school, a cafe, and some housing. There are no employers other than the school district, and fewer than 300 students. And we saw that repeated in Crown Point, in Navajo Pines. Segai has a beautiful school built for 300 to 400 students. There are 47 students in Segai High School. So imagine how, trying to do this work and those conditions. And frankly, we're having to learn. I'm having to learn with them. But that's our style of work. We sort of come along beside the community. We want to co-construct what works for you. As again, I say, we're not interested in pushing a particular model, but we are absolutely committed to helping to design experience for young students, for students that will prepare all students, especially those furthest from opportunity, for lasting success in post-secondary education and career. That's what this is ultimately about. So I could go on forever. I'm sure you don't want me to, but that gives you a little bit of our history.
You did tell me that you just recently gotten some grants from the Gates Foundation.
Yes.
So I'm guessing they're frozen for everybody else on Zoom.
I don't.
For me as well, yes.
Yeah.
Yep, now they've dropped off.
Hooray, technology.
Hooray. I'm texting with the superintendent. This is concerning me about the quality of how the study session is going to go. And I just want to apologize. I was not quite aware of how this was going to work. And we are live on YouTube. And Joe, I'm guessing you're there, or Alma, or Josh. I've texted the superintendent, but I guess we hang out until they come back. And if this continues like this, I might even suggest we do it at another time. But for now, we'll try and keep going.
Yeah, sorry about that. I'm not sure what's going on.
Okay, thanks, Alma.
I'll reach out.
I suppose we could talk about stuff, but we didn't notice anything on the agenda. So we can't really. We can talk about career and technical education amongst three of us.
Like to register that I'm very in favor of career and technical education.
Excellent.
I think we all are, yes.
Go on the record and fill some space.
That's very good. So I can say that I'm very excited about career and technical education, including educators and using our own vacancies potentially as an asset for work study. And of course, that the Santa Fe Public Schools is like a small city with transportation and food service and facilities and building and maintenance and all of the things.
They're back up.
All right, we apologize. Internet keeps dropping in our building. We're back on.
So you were,
So I was in mid-sentence regarding illustrative math. So the one feature that we just believe is critically important is its emphasis on English language routines, and particularly making mathematics more comprehensible, more accessible for English learners, and really encouraging peer-to-peer conversation about math. The second feature, and this is where I think the pathway context is so important, there is an emphasis on real-world application. But imagine doing that in the context of pathways. You can bring so much more coherence and focus to that real-world application experience of young people. So we're very clear that our interest in illustrative math is both in the English language routine emphasis as well as the real-world application and the kind of coherence and focus that pathways bring to it. We're working with Oakland on the Algebra One front. Algebra One, as you all know, is one of, if it is not the primary, it is one of the primary gatekeepers in high school. If a student does not pass Algebra One and even has to go into credit recovery, and you all know that cycle better than I do, not only is the student unlikely to transition to post-secondary, that student is unlikely to even finish high school, because the student can't complete the rest of the math sequence that's required for graduation. So I'm a little embarrassed at how long it took us to take this on. Our board, when we first brought this work to our board said, wait a minute, that's not what ConnectEd does. And we said, well, we can't go out and work with districts to develop pathways that prepare students for college and career if we're not addressing this fundamental problem. It's a lie. We're telling kids a lie that you can go through high school, not pass Algebra One and be ready for post-secondary. It's just not true. So our board said, yep. And here we are. It will be launching a major initiative with Oakland and 3 other districts in California in about another 2 weeks. So we're very excited about it. I wish I could tell you we know how to do it. We're going to be learning a lot along the way, and I'm sure we'll make some mistakes, but we're absolutely convinced of the importance of this work.
Great. Well, with that being said, we'll hand it off to Deputy Superintendent Romero, who can start us off on the presentation.
Great. Thank you, President Noble, members of the board. We're really excited to share with you what we have currently happening in our schools, but also share some action steps as we move forward to create more alignment, to make things more comprehensive in our current pathways, and then also exploring opportunities to expand what we currently have and to continue to build partnerships with the community and professionals here in Santa Fe. With that said, I'd like to introduce the team that's been working on this. I'd like to introduce Michael Hagley, Assistant Superintendent for School Support, Mary Massey, who's the Director of College and Career Readiness. We have Peter McWayne, who's our Executive Director for Curriculum and Instruction, and Mr. Carl Morano, who's an Assistant Superintendent supporting our schools. Next slide. And with that, Gary mentioned, we've shifted from just focusing on career and technical education. We want to be more inclusive of college. So we've changed it to college, career, and technical education pathways in our schools, because we want kids to have opportunities to explore many things, from the industry to, post-secondary 4-year or 2-year colleges. Next slide. And I'm turning it over to Mr. Morano.
Thank you, Deputy Superintendent. We'd like to acknowledge and give you information on what we currently offer in Santa Fe Public Schools regarding our pathways. We currently have 4 secondary schools that offer pathways. We have 1 middle school, Ortiz Middle School, that offers 2 opportunities with the junior biomedical program and their network for teaching entrepreneurship program. They currently serve 175 students in their pathways, which is 33% of their current enrollment. Capitol High School currently has 3 pathways: their business pathway, the computer technology pathway, and of course, their medical pathway. They currently serve 673 students in their pathways, which is 43% of their current student enrollment. Early College High School has 7 different pathways that they offer with their auto body, auto tech, computer tech, construction, design and architecture, greenhouse, and welding. They currently have 119 students in their pathways, which is 94% of their current enrollment. Whereas at Santa Fe High School, we have 3 different pathways. They're engineering, computer science, and culinary arts. It's 604 students enrolled in these pathways, which is 35% of their student enrollment. Next slide, please. Turn it over to Mr. McQueen.
Thank you, Kyle. To echo what Gary said, Santa Fe Public Schools has a phenomenal foundation to build from. And testament of this is we have 1,571 of our students are currently enrolled in 44 different CCTE courses. And again, that's college, career, and technical education courses. 200 students earned dual credit at Santa Fe Community College during our pandemic year, 2020, 2021. That's remarkable. Our pathways are aligned to more than 25 certificate and degree programs at our post-secondary institutional partners: Santa Fe Community College, San Juan, IAIA, Eastern New Mexico. Our current college and career technical education offerings prepare students for more than 52 separate industry recognized certifications. We have a planned capacity for 212 students with more than 31 local business partners in work study and job shadowing, mentorships, and internships. Next slide, please. So our recruitment strategies are supporting our Scrub Club, Go-Kart Challenge for summer camp, and our DECA. We have funding streams that we're using to support these pathways that are including operational funds, Perkins Grant, Alarm Clock Cafe, fundraisers, donors, Amazon, Future Engineers, Supercomputing Challenge, Stokes Educational Scholarship, and all federal stimulus funding sources. Next slide, please.
If I may, just very briefly, I want to acknowledge that Vice President Garcia has joined us.
Great. Thank you, Board President Noble.
Thank you.
So why the renewed emphasis of college and career and technical education now? College and career and technical education is expected and serves a key role in our recovery from the pandemic. It's helping us proactively meet market demands. The goal of secondary education has shifted from preparing students for either college or career to college and career. Federal and state funds are being infused to support helping students develop new skills and approaches to learning and work. Of course, there's increased community interest in supporting work-based learning. In Santa Fe Public Schools and the Santa Fe community, we are poised and ready to forge new opportunities for all of our students. I'd like to, the next slide is
It's me, and good evening, Board President Noble and members of the board. In looking at a plan to strengthen and support college and career technical education in our district, we have outlined 3 guiding principles. And from those guiding principles, we have developed a plan for moving forward that we'll be presenting in the next few slides. The first guiding principle is for us to continue to work to build upon the existing career pathways in our district. The pathways that were mentioned a couple slides ago at our middle school at Ortiz and the 3 high schools that are currently offering career pathways. And to begin to strategically look at opportunities for expansion and growth within our pathway program in our district. The second of our guiding principles is to bring the classroom into the community through work-based learning opportunities. This is, we see as a significant opportunity for us, not only within our school district, but also within our community, because we have a lot of community partner interest in building out our internship opportunities specifically, as well as job shadowing and mentorships within our community. We have business partners who are looking to provide internship positions for interested students because they have needs in their own businesses to place students in positions and hopefully to grow students into long-term employees, as well as opportunities that we have within our school district. We have ongoing needs for instructional support and teachers, as well as different positions across the various departments in our district, within transportation, within student nutrition. And so one of our needs in increasing these opportunities for students is to create a system of internships, mentorships, and job shadowing, and to organize the community interest in building out these positions and a catalog and a menu of positions and opportunities for students within our district. The third of our guiding principles is to expand our dual credit opportunities that are aligned to pathways. We have dynamic partnerships already with our 4 post-secondary institutions, but we see opportunities to expand the dual credit offerings that we currently have in our district, both with opportunities to get students physically to the post-secondary institutions that are geographically near to us, but also to offer increased opportunities for dual credit within our high schools currently by having our teachers within the school district hired and certified as adjunct faculty at our dual credit partner institutions. And so we're looking for opportunities to add additional dual credit courses at our high schools and to give students that early access to college coursework in high school. And so building on these 3 guiding principles, we have outlined a work plan that Mary Massey will present in the next couple slides.
Good afternoon, President Noble and members of the board. The first step for our work plan to expand college, career, and technical education is to gather some baseline data. So that means we're going to be surveying parents and students on CCTE programs, as well as employers on their workforce needs. So the data gathered would include projections for future growth industries, especially in the light of the changes in the economy because of the pandemic. All this would culminate in the asset map for both the district and for the community. Next slide, please. While the data work progresses, we anticipate specifically looking to support our CCTE students by trying to expand transportation between high schools and the community college to provide greater opportunities for students to take dual credit courses. And this has really emerged as a critical need. We also expect to hire a college connections and work-based learning coordinator, and that person would try to expand the opportunities for our students in their fields of interest. In addition, we'd like to expand career counseling at the high schools and especially focus on career exploration in the middle schools. In addition, we believe there's a need to explore creating a CCTE advisory that could organize community interest. And we anticipate partnering with different types of organizations such as Future Focused Education to develop internships and mentorships, as well as we have a very strong partnership right now with the College and Career Plaza at both Capitol High and Santa Fe High. Furthermore, we hope to continue building on our internship opportunities with Santa Fe Public Schools. And for our plan now on how we might use our federal ESSER funds for these priorities, I'll turn it back over to Mr. Hagley.
So as you're aware, our federal stimulus funding, particularly through ESSER 3, is a portion of that has been set aside to support expanding CTE programs within the school district and related to helping us recover from the pandemic and regain any potential learning loss that we've experienced or students have experienced in the last couple of years. And so based on our guiding principles and the work plan that we've just discussed, we've outlined these plans for the spending of those funds. One, as we discussed a few minutes ago, was transportation to and from our Santa Fe Community College, and as well as to and from Capitol High School and Santa Fe High School. Capitol High School is currently piloting an opportunity right now for students to be able to have transportation to and from the community college from Capitol High School. And so we believe that this is a pilot that could be expanded, that more students could benefit from at the other high schools and have access to additional courses at the community college. And the community college, we are fortunate that they are able to work with us in terms of scheduling additional course sections for our students to have access to based on where student interest and demand lies. The second item would be to explore opportunities for purchasing software to support career exploration as well as progress toward graduation for our students. We have a couple pilots currently being implemented in our district with a couple different platforms that we're experimenting with. But basically, students have access to see different career clusters, to watch videos from career professionals, and to begin to mark career clusters and areas of interest for them that they can further investigate. And one of the other feature or function of those programs is for keeping track of progress toward graduation. So as you know, students have a certain number of credits that they need to earn in order to graduate. And these programs will help them visually keep track of where they are in greater detail than what they would see on their transcripts. And they can check their progress in real time. And this helps engage students in the progress and their own progress toward graduation. We'd also like to explore hiring personnel with this funding to support post-secondary tracking. This is a real area of need for us as a district to be able to know the impact of our pathway programs. And so a person who could help with this and potentially software who could help, that could help us with this, would track what students have enrolled in a college or university, where students are being successful in their enrollment, and it would help us keep track over time of the impact of our work with our pathways. We would also like to utilize some of this funding to support our pathways that are not currently being funded by Perkins. The reauthorization of the Perkins grant has specified certain career pathways that can be funded by Perkins. And so those pathways currently are funded in our district. but there are also now pathways that are not funded by Perkins currently. So we could leverage the ESSER funding to be able to support those pathways. As Mary had mentioned before, we would like to hire a work-based learning coordinator, and this person would help catalog and warehouse all of the various work-based learning opportunities in our district, such as our internships and mentorships, and would also be able to work directly with our local business partners. Very often our business partners are looking to place 1, 2, 3 students. And so we see that the scale of the different partners that we would be working with is quite large. And so being able to warehouse all of that information so that students would be able to have a one-stop shop to be able to see what the opportunities are in the district. And then that work-based learning coordinator would be partnering with our college and career plaza partners at Santa Fe High and Capitol High School, who would be then the student-facing point of contact for the students to be able to see what opportunities are available. And the next item would be the costs related to the surveys and additional data collection that we spoke about earlier. We would like to get a greater sense of where student interests lie currently, as well as what our needs are locally. Where we would like some help with developing the surveys and collecting this data is to get a better understanding of not just where the student interests are, but also where are the students' talents and abilities, or get to dig a little deeper into where their interests are. And so, for example, we know that one of our great needs as a district and as a community is to be able to get more students involved in a teacher pipeline and get students trained and educated to become educators themselves. But just asking a student whether they want to sign up for a teacher pathway may not really get us as much interest as if we would ask students, are you interested in working with children, or are you interested in helping others learn new skills? And so those are the kinds of questions that we would like help developing with the survey and the data collection. And we really want to be able to understand with our community partners and our local business partners what their needs are in terms of placing students in internships. Next is contract services with consultants, individuals such as Gary and his company. We would specifically like some help getting started with the survey and the data collection. And of course, we would like to continue to be able to partner for that work as well with the Santa Fe Community College. We would like to be supporting having additional promotional materials and promotional opportunities within our district so that students, community members, parents can be more familiar with our pathway offerings and that they can be more familiar with the benefits of participating in college, career, and technical education. We would like to utilize some of this funding to be able to provide stipends or wages for student interns, particularly for interns that work within our school district as beginning educational assistant or tutor type positions, or students who are working in our student nutrition department, or who are working in transportation, or may be helping with welding or plumbing skills, or we have a wide range of needs. And so those positions within our district for those students could be funded through this, through ESSER funding. And then students have a lot of opportunities within our existing programs, and we would like to build more opportunities for them to be able to get certifications. And there's always a fee associated with certifications. And so rather than having those fees on the backs of the students and their parents, we could provide support for them to obtain those professional industry recognized certifications within the school district. And finally, professional development related to support project-based learning. This is really key to what Gary was talking about earlier about connecting the learning experiences in a college and career technical education course with the learning experiences that students are having in their core courses, and helping support teachers doing cross-curricular collaborative projects between core and trades and elective teachers. One of the real dynamic ways to do this is to give students who are highly engaged in some of their elective classes to help them understand that those skills they're learning in an elective class, the learning that they do in those classes is very similar to the academic learning that they do in those core classes. And so part of this work that we're doing leading into project-based learning eventually is the foundational work that we're doing now with standards-based instruction and curriculum design and standards-based grading. And so as students are getting familiar with talking about their learning in terms of standards and skill development, they can not only see greater success in their elective coursework, but also in their core academic courses. We had the fortune of seeing some students today in our tour who had learned and demonstrated their learning in welding for the first time a couple days ago. And the student showed off their work to us in the classroom and was so proud to be able to show us his learning. I saw another student today that I saw 2 years ago perform his first weld. He had his first welding experience, and now today he was showing off a very high level of welding, and he was proud to see that. And the teachers were able to make the connection between the skill that you've developed in welding from the beginning steps to now an advanced level of proficiency is the same type of skill that you learn when you're learning in your math class, or you're learning in your social studies class, how to write an essay or defend an argument. And so when students start to see those connections, they can really leverage that engagement to be highly successful in their core academic classes. And so that would be the work that's supported with our project-based learning professional development. So transitioning into the final piece of the presentation this evening is just to give you a visual glimpse of what we think we could accomplish and scale within our district. We had our first student intern employed by the school district over this summer. And that was a partnership that was with our district technology department and our community partner.
Yeah, IT Connect.
IT Connect, thank you. And so this student was working, and you'll see him in action in the technology department. We are actually developing a similar project in our nutrition department right now. We have developed a syllabus and have identified some times when students can help with meal preparation and service and cleanup. And we've got some other projects in the works as well. And we believe that we can scale this district-wide and have students in multiple opportunities every day in our district. So Cody, if you'd like to go ahead and roll the video we have.
There's a real connection to the work that students are doing for the technology department. This is the technology that they're using in classrooms, and now they're able to be a part of that.
They reset the laptops from the students over the summer, so that's a big part of it, the Chromebooks. They take inventory of the equipment that we have and then just assist the other technicians on their day-to-day tasks.
It builds this ecosystem of, we've got students who are now working in our schools, whether it's for another company, contracting, or directly for our schools, but they're learning the skills that we're using here, and it's real world work.
I think it's important for kids to understand what it's like to be out in the job force, you know, getting to a job on time, having tasks, having supervisors.
One of the ways that Santa Fe Public Schools can do that is by building mentorship programs and even internship programs so that our students are working in real careers, understanding the skills that they're going to need in order to be successful after high school.
Probably the biggest challenge was having to just kind of learn the workflow about like my other peers in the office, so I can learn how to adapt better to the situation, whatever they put me in or whatever task they tell me to do.
If you take a child that wants to learn, a student that wants to learn and improve themselves, and put them in an environment where you create structure for them, assign them tasks, give them responsibility, hold them accountable, then you're going to see that these kids are capable of a lot more than we ever give them credit for.
Most places won't even hire teenagers because they want like an adult who has some sort of work experience.
This is a pool of talent that is underutilized in this community, and so as a business owner, you're doing yourself a disservice by not engaging with the local high schools and community colleges to get these kids in to do internships.
We can start working with students prior to them being out of high school, and we're building that pipeline that feeds directly from our schools directly into our business community.
Well, if we can bring in kids that have experience, that understand, hey, I've got to get to a job on time, I've got a supervisor, I've got customers, how do I interface with people, and they're ready to go by the time they graduate, then that makes them more valuable to our community. The more we prepare these kids, the sooner we prepare them, the better off we're all going to be.
It kind of showed me what career path I wanted to go on, especially in IT, how you can be like, a software programmer or an IT support specialist. This job kind of steered me in a direction where I want to start once I'm out of high school.
We're all in this together, we're all working together, and the school providing this opportunity for us is fantastic, and we enjoy being a part of it.
This was a really good opportunity for me, and I really enjoyed doing this internship, and I enjoyed my time that I spent with a lot of the workers around here. I really got a lot of experience on how jobs operate.
Well, I think that especially in a state like New Mexico, we kind of get this rap that we don't have what other states have. We're not large enough. We don't have the same pool of people to draw from, which is a misconception because there's a lot of great companies here in New Mexico, a lot of great people. And so it's important for the youth here to see that there's opportunity for them.
We're always looking for great business partners who are interested in mentorship, who are interested in providing internships for students so that we can help to build the capacity of our students in fulfilling the needs of our local businesses.
Is somebody picking
So
up? Or is
President
that
Noble,
the end?
members,
No. Go ahead, Superintendent.
that's the end. Yeah, so sorry about that. So President Noble, members of the board, stand for questions that tonight, and hope you really enjoyed that video of a student that could be the start of something new for the district moving forward.
Yes, thank you very much. Questions from the board? Comments? Oh, you are on dodgy internet, Vice President Garcia. Try again, please.
Hello?
There we go. Now we can hear you. Maybe.
Thank you. I went on a tour to the community college for the automotive section with Dr. Gonzalez, board member Gonzalez. And the presentation that we just had was awesome. And we just need to communicate and let's move forward as into what we need to do with these individuals that actually don't want to go to college, but want a technical view of it. But I appreciate that, Madam President.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. Other thoughts, questions, discussion? Board Member Anderson.
Thank you. This is just an administrative question for us to get a copy of the presentation. I just didn't see it in the Google Drive folder. Or maybe I missed it elsewhere.
I don't think it's in the
Copy of the
Google Drive
presentation.
folder. I looked too. We didn't seem to have it there.
We'll get that sent out to you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Sorry about that.
No worries.
President
And
Noble,
Go ahead, Dr. Gonzalez.
I think last time when we briefly talked about this, Sarah had some kind of something that she was home-wise or something. I don't remember exactly what it was. Do you recall that, Sarah?
Yes, of course, Madam President. That was the Santa Fe Area Home Builders Association would be a wonderful partner in our community. They have access to electricians and contractors and plumbers and all sorts of things that they can find mentors and, you know, help with internships and all sorts of wonderful things here in our community. I'm sure that there are others as well in existence. So I appreciate the opportunity for us to kind of start that conversation and start building the connections here in Santa Fe for our students.
And what we're trying to really do with that coordinator position is that exactly what you just mentioned, is make those connections, foster our relationships with the business community, and really have one point of contact for the district. And that way, businesses, individuals, entrepreneurs can contact one individual, set that up, and continue to provide these opportunities for our students. So I think we have a candidate in mind, and we've made a recommendation. Now it's just about getting that individual to the starting point of the new position.
Well, as I think I have shared before, I'm very hopeful about this opportunity. I think it's really a great initiative. I appreciate the leadership of Dr. Gonzalez on this and the incredibly savvy work by the staff. It's clear that there is a lot behind all of the plans and ideas we heard tonight, years and years of expertise, hours and hours of research and thinking, and probably working on it together. And I continue to be blown away. I don't feel like I have much to add, just given that, you know, some of the so many of the important ideas were covered, including, you know, using the opportunities we have at the Santa Fe Public School for work study, paying stipends, engaging our community, and thinking about it in small scale opportunities, because the Santa Fe Public Schools, some of the other governments, maybe the hospital, are the places where there might be larger scale opportunities, but we do need to think about the 2 and 3 person work study, or whatever we call it, on the job training. And I think it's great. And integrating the community college, being able to work on dual credit. There are, as I'm sure most of you know, some incredible programs where young people can graduate either with a degree or substantially on their way to a degree out of high school through dual credit programs. And we just have so much. Of course, we are facing a staffing shortage in the Santa Fe Public Schools, and I hope this is also even a way to address some of those issues and get some help in some of the places we badly need it, you know, with the appropriate supervision and that sort of thing. This really does start to knit a lot of things together in a really wonderful way. So I just really appreciate everybody's great work on this. I must say, just for the sake of transparency, reasonably frustrated by this format. It's pretty rough for us online with the video quality and the freezing and the lots of things. So unfortunately, I'm not sure that we can do all I'd hoped with this study session in this particular way, but it's worth trying, and the substance is so very strong for what you all are doing, and that's what's really important. So again, just thank you to all of you for your work and for the presentation.
Yeah, you're welcome. And may I just expand a little bit on something Mr. Hagley mentioned and what you mentioned, President Noble. When we have vacancies within the district, we did take a different look at it. We changed the lens of trying to find individuals within the community that want to be employed by Santa Fe Public Schools. And we developed out a syllabus that you just mentioned around community service to really address the need for student nutrition. Working with our student nutrition director, we wanted to really see if we could provide assistance for that department. And we do have a pilot going that we're hoping to get off the ground so we can provide employable skills for our students through student nutrition and potentially offer them a stipend. So that is something that they'll also earn high school credit towards graduation. And found in the STARS code for the New Mexico Public Education Department that we can offer that class. So it's a great opportunity for some students that may want to work in student nutrition to get experience, not only at their school, but possibly at other schools that have vacancies. And then again, maybe earning a little stipend for that work, as well as earning credit towards graduation. So we're hoping to really expand on that work experience for our students as soon as possible.
President Noble.
Yes, go ahead, Dr. Gonzalez, and then Board Member Anderson.
Okay. I just wanted to say I was at a presentation for school boards the other day, and Secretary Steinhaus was there, and he said that he wants to put a focus on CTE. He wants to get more funding for it. One of the teachers that involved in the medical pathway presented to the LSC, the Legislative Education Study Committee. She said it was very positive, that they say they really need to put more funds into CTE. So I think it's a good time to start this conversation and movement. So
excellent. Stars are aligning.
Thank you.
Board Member Anderson.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to say to the superintendent that I really appreciate the mention of a stipend for those doing work study for student nutrition. I just want to register that I think that educational value is obviously extremely important, but I do think it's important that when students are working, that they are receiving compensation whenever possible, just as we would expect from non-students. So I appreciate that the combination of both educational value and compensation sounds like a great proposal to me.
Hear, hear. We too often, in essence, exploit young people's work, and stipends are really important. We've lost them. Okay. Now it's, there we go. We can see, it looks like, there we go. The team is unmuted. Can you hear us again? All right. Any other comments? Discussion? Okay, thank you all very much. Really appreciate the presentation. As Dr. Gonzalez said, it's a great time for this to be happening, and we look forward to hearing about progress and moving forward.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the next item on the agenda, our action items. We'll start with the consent agenda. And
Madam
Okay.
Chair, if there's no questions on the consent agenda, I'd like to make a motion for approval, please.
Okay, thank you, Vice President Garcia. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you very much. Board Member Anderson. Oh, I'm gonna have to go to my phone. My battery's dying. We'll go ahead and do a roll call vote on the consent agenda. Vice President Garcia,
Yes.
Secretary Bozay, Secretary Bozay, did you respond? Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Yeah.
I said yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
Dr. Gonzalez,
Yes.
Board Member Anderson,
Yes.
and the president also votes yes. Thank you very much. Moving on to action item B, second reading of amended policy 118, committees of the board. Superintendent.
Yeah, thank you, President Noble. Reading our amended policy 118, committees of the board will be our General Counsel, Josh Granata.
Good afternoon, Madam President, board members, Superintendent Chavez. Before the board today is the second reading of the proposed amendment to policy 118. Board Member Bozay had recommended that the board amend this policy to change the name of the Citizens Review Committee to the Community Review Committee. And so this policy has changed all the references from citizen to community. And that's it. Board President Noble.
Thank you very much. Mr. Granata,
Madam
go ahead,
Madam
Secretary
President,
Bozay.
I move to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Secretary Bozay, Vice President Garcia. Oh, look, I'm there twice. That's kind of confusing. Any further discussion? All right, we'll go ahead and do a roll call vote. Vice President Garcia,
Yes.
Secretary Bozay, Dr. Gonzalez,
Yes.
Board Member Anderson,
Enthusiastic, yes.
and the president also votes yes. So thank you very much, Mr. Granata and Secretary Bozay, for bringing this forward.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to action item C, Davis donation scholarship grant. Superintendent.
Thank you, Board President Noble. We ask the board to accept the Davis Donation Scholarship Grant in an amount of $30,000 to support our AVID program district-wide. So again, we recommend approval of acceptance of this donation.
Are there questions? And if not, is there a motion?
Madam Chair, this is Rudy. Second.
I'll second it.
Third.
Who made the motion?
Yes.
The Davis Foundation.
Yes, no, I'm gonna say that we have Vice President Garcia who made the motion and Dr. Gonzalez seconded. Everybody good with that?
Right.
Speak now, forever hold your peace.
Yep. That's good.
Okay. Any further discussion? We'll do a roll call vote. Vice President Garcia,
Yes.
Secretary Bozay,
Yes.
Dr. Gonzalez,
Yes.
Board Member Anderson,
Yes.
and the president also votes yes. We have accepted that lovely scholarship grant. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Moving on to advanced planning. We have our next meeting for October 7th. Tentatively, the executive session at 4:30 and the regular meeting at 5:30. Are there any changes or corrections to that or anything else on advanced planning, Superintendent?
There is not.
Okay.
Madam President, I'm okay with that.
Sorry, go ahead, say again, Vice President.
I'm okay with the advanced planning. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Okay, well, if there's nothing further. Going once, going twice. We'll say thanks again to all of our presenters and staff members. We know that everybody's stretched right now and really appreciate how hard you all are working in the administration and everywhere in the district. And again, just appreciate the support and how you all are taking care of and supporting each other. And thank you, thank you. Things are moving along, and that's what we can hope for right now. So really just want to appreciate everybody's efforts. Okay, we are adjourned. We'll be back together on October 7th. Thanks very much.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. Thanks, Joe.